So this is the plan to create this responsive site. You can see there's a bit of animation happening here. The menu comes out. You can see the grid. It becomes very responsive. If I can use one of my plugins for a tester, see this works on a mobile, and I can see that one of the things, my icons, has not come through because it's reading an icon. Let me see if my internet is still on. It is. So this icon here, I'm not quite sure why it's not come through. But look at that. That's what we plan to build, okay? And I'll show you how I build it using examples from the W3.CSS site. So I'll build a few pages of it. I'll build 2 or 3 pages, okay? I was just looking at some sites before I need this one. I need W3 for looking at various examples that I will use. So I'm going to start a new site, new site. I'll make a folder for that first. Close all of these files. So W3.CSS learn. I'm going to make a new folder called assignment 2. So because that's going to be our assignment 2. I always make folders. I make a CSS folder. I make a JavaScript folder. I make a images folder. I have some images which I will be using today. So I'm just taking all of these images here which I'll be using. So I've gone and prepared some images. So I've got my images in the images folder, okay? Take note that I did not go and pull them up from that folder where it was. I wanted it organized to sit underneath where my project is, so that when I take assignment 2 and put it on a web server, nothing goes missing. I need the W3.CSS file here, and I have a copy of it. You also have a copy of it. This is what we are using to make our responsive site. There are many libraries. You can use any. You can use jQuery mobile. You can use Bootstrap. There are literally thousands of them. I showed you one last time. It was called Materialize.css, and I noticed Materialize.css when I tested on a mobile, it doesn't work very well. So that's why I went back to W3.CSS. So I have these 3 things, and I will make an index page. So I'm going to go to site, new site. I'm going to call it assignment 2 demo. I select where my local files are stored. So my local files are stored in assignment 2. Okay. Also, I can specify, I'll go back to edit. I can specify in advanced settings where the default images folder is, which is here. Cool. And I'm going to make a new HTML5 page. The first thing I do is get my navigation right. I also have a bit of an idea of what my content will be. So I've gone and said about history. So I've got some list of home loans for my home list loan list page. I got something for my products page. Okay, and I'll make a contact page. I've got some stuff there which I'll use as content. It's all fictitious content. If you see here, if you go to navigation, it gives you many types of navigations. See this? And you know HTML code by now. Now I have no problem if you use any demo, no problem at all. Because no matter what you use, you will have to customize HTML code, which is what I want to see. I want to see you comfortable with code, even regardless of whether you write it from scratch or whether you use a library or a framework, okay? So you can see there are many types of navigations. I looked at a few and you can see these have icons, material icons. I looked at this one because this has a JavaScript. See this? Except it is not animated. Try to understand the principle here. There is a div tag here. This div tag is hidden. When you click here, it hides. When you click here, it is shown. Okay? So the display of this div tag is altered by a JavaScript. We have seen get document.get element by ID, but you can get an element by ID, by class, by tag. So it is saying get this element with this class. Now because a class can be applied to several elements, you need to tell which one. So 0 is the first one. You have done arrays, right? So the 0th element is the first one. And you have to do it only for class because class can be applied to many elements. But an ID can be applied to only one. So if you say get element by ID, if I change that to ID, I don't have to put this one because ID is unique, right? ID goes only to one, or supposed to be now. So this is the script. See, it changes the display to block and it changes the display to none. So when I choose close, it changes it to none. When I choose open, it changes the display to block. That is what is causing the toggle, a simple JavaScript. So I'm going to take this. You know how this works. And I'm going to go here and I've got this. I'm going to change the title to Best Home Loans. I have an icon. Fave icon, if you actually look it up, Fave icon W3.org, the committee that actually creates the standards on how to do things, it has got a preferred method. Method 1 preferred, use of a rel attribute defined in a profile, and it gives an example. For me, examples are very important because only then I get an understanding of how to use things. So it says here, that's how you actually define an icon. Cool. I go back. And has he put it inside the head? Yep. So I'm just going to go somewhere before my body and I'll actually just give this a head here. Not necessary anymore, but you can. That helps me to keep things organized. So I've just used the sample code given. It says it should be a PNG and I have got something. Where is my href? It is under images and it is called, I think, faveicon.png. That's what I was working on. Let's test this. Let's test this. So I'm going to go to assignment 2, save this as an index and let me test it. Browser. Okay, because the CSS is not linked. You see this style sheet? Our CSS is in the folder CSS/CSS. So now we have got this happening. Yep, we need to change a few things. Sorry? Thank you. So I've got my fave icon there. I've got this happening, and that is because this is actually an entity. It is ampersand times. Yep, times. So yeah. So ampersand and is ampersand and, these are all the entities, and you can see there's another entity here. This entity gives those lines, those 4 lines here. Cool? Okay, what are the pages we have? We have about page. About is going to be the index.html. We have, let's say, best home loans is got loans page, in which we'll talk about, I think I've just made some content up here in loans. It can talk about home loans, car loans, equipment loans, home, car and equipment. So we'll call it products. Then we have loan list. Quick look, or I'll just call it list. I'm going to have a contact page because I want to use a form. If you're interested in getting a loan, contact us. Part loan list. So that'll go to index. That will go to products.html. That will go to loans.html. And that will go to contact.html. In one of these pages, I'm going to introduce to you Angular JavaScript. You know the thing I was showing you how to search through a list? It's done using Angular JavaScript variables. So I will introduce it to you. You don't have to use Angular JavaScript, but I just want to introduce to you as many technologies as I can. There's a big fight going out there for dominance of the technologies. Angularjs is a framework by Google that allows you to do server type of things on the client side. By that I mean, when you go to a website, you register. And where does that registration information go? It's stored on a server. Whether you access from a mobile phone, whether you access from India, China, Australia, when you log in, it knows what the login and password is because it's stored in a server. And when you type your login password, it fetches it from the server. It checks on the server. When you go to eBay and you look up computers, it goes and pulls out things stored in a database. So those kind of things can also be done on the client side for certain kind of applications, especially mobile apps, which some things which require things to be stored on the client side. For example, yesterday I downloaded an app, and all that app does is it records my blood pressure. So every time I take my blood pressure, I just go and enter a reading. So every time I enter a reading, it is stored. But it doesn't have to be stored all the way on a server. It is stored locally on my phone. So I can keep entering it, and next time I visit the doctor, I can pull out the readings and the doctor can scan through my pressure and say, oh yeah, it's good, bad, ugly. That's client side. But the concept is still same. I'm storing information and getting it later. So I will introduce to you that concept just so that you understand AngularJS conceptually. So there will be one more session on this. We will do the loan page that way. Okay, so we have got this products. Let me come here, give this a title, best home loans, and this header, I'm going to give it a background. I'm going to give it a background. Now if I have a background, I can do it here. I should not destroy this. Let me make another CSS file. File, save as. In the CSS folder, I need one folder called my CSS, my styles. Okay, I'm just gonna clear this, my styles. And I'm going to link my styles. So I've got this and this. I'm linking this my styles.css as well. because I don't want to sort of keep on adding things here. In my styles, I'm going to make a class called header.bg, and I'm going to say background image, browse. Assignment 2. I've got a background called header.bg. It's a background of homes. Okay, so I've made a class called header.bg. See where I add it. The class tag, when I say class equal to open quotes and close quotes, I can actually add more classes. Now header.bg, it should have picked it up, but my styles, let's see if it has picked it up. It should. But there's another version of the browser. Okay, you can see there's my background now. Okay, I can make the background responsive, a question which he had asked. So I think if I say background size, if I say cover, it will basically cover the whole thing. And see that's responsive. Jesse, see this background? It is responsive, but it will maintain the aspect ratio. So there will be a bit of cropping. And the key CSS is to say background size cover. Okay, when you say I've got a class called header.bg with this background image and background size cover, and it works. Okay, so there are ways of making it. Okay, so best home loans, I've got my
I'm pretty sure we can. Yeah, we're gonna have to get. You're gonna be the teacher. Hey.
if I take down my H1 and I just say span and just try to make this large without actually making it into a H1, just so that it comes and sits next to this W3 hyphen class equals, and this is because I've looked up the site, I know a bit of this, W3 hyphen text. So I can give the text color and I think I can give it size. Amber, and I can say W3 hyphen large. If you don't put the closing quotes, it ends in disaster. But there, best home loans. Cool? Yeah, I'm happy with it. And if you don't want the close here, you just want the text, you can do that as well. Now, we will change the content, okay? We will change the body content. One of the things you might have noticed in all of these is there's an animation. Once you have a particular tag, you can apply a style to it, and that style can be a transition style. If I show you the demos, If I show you the demos, why did this not work? In fact, can you see this? Can you see how this animates on the home page? One way to get it is, even if you're feeling sleepy, just keep your ears open, keep your eyes closed, is to, I go and inspect the element and I see why is that being animated. This one is using a JavaScript and it is actually more clear in the demos. I probably have it in one of mine. So if I just open one of my previous pages, what happened here? This is a new error. You see this animation that's happening here? This is happening because of, and I need to see this, so I'm going to copy my address here. Copy it, I need to see it here. If I inspect element, you see this script here. We already know that it was a JavaScript that is opening and closing, right? But look at his JavaScript. He's not only opening, he's saying he wants a transition. He says get main, add a transition. Okay? He's setting a fixed width, of course, but he's adding a transition as well. I'm going to take this and try and add a transition so that as it goes from block to hidden, or as it goes from side to the width, it actually opens up with a animation. So you can see we have got, oh, it has come with an animation here. Oh, this is the one that I have. This is the function that I have. So this function, and compare that with your function. Only one line, going from block to hidden, only one line. So there's no animation. But if we add a bit more drama to it, okay, let's just try one by one. So we definitely need this to be block, that's okay. But we are adding a bit more drama to this, and let's have a look at it. If I now come and refresh it, I broke it. I'm calling it main. Why did I call it main? There is no main. There is no main. I had called an ID here main. The main container, I called it main. And if I do that, then things will start working. So main starts after nav. After nav, if I make another ID, hopefully Yeah. So now you can see it moves, but it hasn't moved back. You see that moves? And for close, let's try this. So this is just appearing, but the rest is moving. Still not happy with this. I actually, when I was doing it, I managed to hack together the JavaScript together. And you can see when I did it for my site here. Oh, lost the internet connection. I used Animate.CSS for this. For this one, I used Animate.CSS. If you might remember, I used Animate.CSS. This one. I'm just going to get Animate.CSS. And I'm going to put it in my CSS folder and link it. So I'm going to take Animate.CSS, put it down into my assignment to folder, and I'll just use Animate.CSS because that's what I used before. You can do it with JavaScript, but it'll take a while, and I'm already at 27 minutes. I'll go to, well, actually I had it. So I've got Animate.CSS. The first thing that I'm going to do is link it. For my site, I cleaned up Animate.CSS to use only the animations that I was using. Animate.CSS. And I'll just go and get back my functions from the original nav. So in W3.CSS, sorry, in W3.CSS, I went to navigation, and this was the JavaScript we were using, right? The simple two-line one. That pretty much says block and none. Okay? Let's see if it works. Yep, this is the one we are using. Let's see how we can animate it. One thing that I did, and let's have a look at it. See, let's see how I modified the script. So I've got showHide.js, showHide.js. Okay, this is how I modified my script. Let me see. I'm going to take my open close. I'm going to leave that on top. I'm going to comment it out so I have the original. So that's the original line, block. Then I'm saying you bring in, you take nav, I don't need the icons because I don't have icons here. But you get element by ID nav, and I don't have a nav here, so I need to give it an ID. Nav, I'm going to give it an ID nav. Okay, I've given nav an ID of nav, and its attribute should be so I'm setting the class. we already have this class here. You see, we already have this class here. We already have this class here. So I'm setting that class, but I'm also adding that it should be animated and it should slide in from the left. And where does this come from? This comes from Animate.CSS. I don't know if any of you tried it when I did the demo, but if you go to Animate.CSS and apply animated with any of these things like bounce, pulse, it will animate to any ID. If you, for example, just to show you, if I was to come here and say title class equals animated pulse, then when I preview it, uh, animated maybe not title, it is linked, so it should pick up. Let me try main. Let's just try this p tag. P class equals animated and bounce. Okay, so I've added animated and bounce to this p tag. See that? Did you see that p bounce? But now we want to do it on click. You understand? So JavaScript here, I'm saying set the attribute class to animated slide out left when it is closed and open slide in left. We don't have icons, so I'm going to just delete this. And because I'm sliding it out, do I need to hide it? I think Animate.CSS already hides it for us, so I don't need to hide it. Okay? And this has given me a JavaScript error. We have nav. Okay, there you go. Have a look at this. Hallelujah. Nice smooth animation. So W3.CSS gave me the JavaScript to show and hide the menu. And by adding this one line, the magic happens. Okay? I'm going to leave you at this so that you can get your header and navigation in place. Okay? Get your header and navigation in place. Have a play with it. So it's 33. I'm just going to save this video as a header and navigation for a responsive web. Okay?